Welcome to the channel. My name is Kubeir. I'm a CICC licensed immigration consultant and Canadian immigration. This is such a favorite topic. And today I am doing this live stream out of turn, outside the schedule, because obviously we don't usually do it on a Friday, is it? No, yeah, we don't usually do it on Thursday morning. My God, I'm even confused with the dates today. Just give me a moment. Yeah, we don't do it on Friday mornings. We do it on Saturday mornings. But the reason why I'm doing today is because I'm in the city of Surat in Gujarat. Amazing city, amazing food. And hey, on that subject, if you are in Surat and if you are in Ahmedabad, then I hope you have registered for our free seminars in Surat tomorrow, in Ahmedabad day after tomorrow. So tomorrow is Friday. I'm again confused. Tomorrow is Saturday, so tomorrow is Surat, and then on Sunday we are doing it in Ahmedabad. The links for the registrations are in the description. So while I was in Surat, and after having spent the whole day talking to so many different people, doing all these consultations, I had an hour to kill, right? And I was just scrolling through these Instagram reels, just trying to see what's happening. As a lot of you would probably be doing. And what caught me was so many consultants, so many agents still sort of making it sound as if Canadian immigration is a walk in the park. Like, hey, contact us and we will make your dreams come true. Hey, contact our agency and this program is opening up. New streams are opening up. And I was thinking, am I missing out on something? Because the way I am looking at it, everything is looking so difficult. I mean, it's a headache, to be very honest, sometimes trying to figure out a pathway for somebody who's got perfect scores, who's pretty young, has done his masters, got very high score in IELTS. What's wrong with this person, right? And Canada, when they started the express entry stream, the whole idea was to attract the high skill factors and bring those human capitals, right, to Canada. And suddenly now this human capital finds themselves left out. Not only these people who are outside Canada, but also inside Canada, everybody, even with high scores. I mean, look at it. Look at the comments, right? Somebody just posted with a score of, this guy, right? Score of 511. And he's asking, is there any hope? Had you ever in the history of Canadian immigration ever thought that you would be sitting with a score of 511 and you would be asking a question on a live stream from, hey, just another consultant saying, does 511 have any hope? I mean, this is how miserably difficult this has become. And I'm not sure how often you've been watching my videos or how much you follow me. I have this hashtag, right, forever hopeful. And because I'm an optimistic kind of a person, I always like to look at the brighter side of things. I always like to look at the positive side of things. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to be realistic. That doesn't mean that I will, take away the reality out of the picture or just sort of stay with that hope that something good is going to happen and one fine day I'm going to walk towards the rainbow and find my pot of gold. It doesn't usually work like that, not in the real life. We're not talking about the movies here. And then week after week after week, something or the other has been coming up, which is only making it more depressing, more pessimistic, really putting your energies down with regards to Canadian immigration. And then it reminded me, and I was trying to look back. In March last year, I made a video. March of 2023, you can always go back to my YouTube channel and you can see I made a video which said Canadian PR is going to become very difficult, and I got a lot of flack for it. A lot of people on the live stream itself. It's a 1-hour video, and I basically laid it out for everybody. And I said, listen, it's getting difficult. I got a lot of flack from my colleagues who are also consultants, and of course from a lot of you out there who said that I'm trying to paint a pessimistic picture because I want to get more business. I mean, how does a consultant get more business if he or she tries to paint a pessimistic picture? I'm not saying take my services and I will find you that secret door. I'm not saying that. On the contrary, people who consult with me, I even tell them, listen, I don't have any secret doors. There are no secret pathways. On the contrary, if I knew of any program which was secret or which nobody knew, I would be the first one to come in and make a video and tell you all about it, right? Just like we talk about all these recruitment events that Newfoundland and Labrador is doing or New Brunswick is doing, and whenever they have these recruitment initiatives, we talk about it. We come out with any kind of new stream. But all these Instagram reels and the YouTube videos that I've been watching over the last couple of days, actually, not only today, has been all about these people and I have to sort of say, and I apologize for the entire fraternity, where they're just trying to paint this picture where it is like a walk in the park. It is not, guys. And if you haven't realized it, then you have to. I have also been tweeting about this, I think, more too often than I should have been, where I've been saying that the imbalance between the TRs and PRs, when I'm talking about TRs and PRs, I mean the temporary residents in Canada and the permanent resident quotas. The imbalance is huge. There are, in my opinion, because IRCC will never have a specific, or rather they will not disclose the exact numbers as such, but in my opinion, if you roughly calculate the numbers available, and I'm talking about the number of the temporary residents. So you have the international students, you have their spouses who are working as foreign workers. Then I'm talking about the international temporary foreign workers in Canada who are there on LMIs, the closed work permit guys. And then I'm talking about the foreign workers, the people who are on work permit, closed work permits, open work permits, spouses open work permits, Francophone mobility program, international experience Canada, all different kind of work permits, right? Then you have those. Then you have this huge number of people who have been granted visas from Ukraine, right? Almost close to 1 million visas have been approved, or rather one more, sorry, wrong. More than 1 million applications were made. A huge number of those, I think about 800 to 900,000 were approved. Roughly 300 to 400,000, as we know, have already arrived into Canada, and of course they will continue to be there. Then there were the Iranians. They got some exemptions on their work permits. Similarly, there have been nationalities from, other nationalities, depending on the circumstances. And I feel bad about the circumstances in their countries, but obviously, whenever something like that happens, they are given exemptions. They are given exemptions in terms of the work permit extensions, or eligible to apply for work permits, etc. So this number of temporary residents has grown. It has swollen up, right? And then, of course, there is this constant flow of refugees who are coming to Canada. People who are being making refugee claims when they arrive in Canada on a visit visa. I'm not sure if you remember, last year in January, IRCC, because they had such a huge backlog of visit visa applications, they had waived off the requirement whereby a person had to prove that they would return back to their country. And when they have waived off the requirement, a huge number of people who otherwise would have not gotten approved were approved for visit visas. And what we saw in a direct consequence was that a lot of people arrived in Canada and they made refugee claims. Then they also, IRCC are also given ETAs. So ETAs is electronic travel authorization to Mexicans. And the result of that we have seen is very, very recent. I think it was a report which was just published, I think, a couple of days back, that Quebec has seen a huge number of refugee claims being made by the Mexican citizens who are coming to Canada and then making those refugee claims, or asylum claims, if you want to call it. The number almost doubled. When you see all these things happening, and then and most of these people who are coming to Canada, right? Obviously, everybody's aspiring, or rather, most of them are aspiring to want to stay in Canada permanently. Whether you've come to Canada as an international student, whether you're working here, obviously, if you're filing for a refugee claim, then obviously you want to stay here. Now, if all of these people, or rather the majority of these people, would like to become permanent residents, then where are the quotas? Where are the numbers? Canada is reeling with this constant pressure. With the housing crisis, they are reeling under this obviously the political aspect as well, right? Right now, the Liberals are not finding favor from the public, and they're trying to make things, or rather, at least they're trying to claw their way back. I think not very successfully, but they're trying. And the result of all of this is that so many wrong political decisions have been made. We recently saw another, article whereby Sean Fraser was advised that if he was going to make all these changes that he was making, it is going to have negative impact. But he still made those changes. And of course, now Sean Fraser is a housing minister. And there he has been talking about the fact that with all these people who are coming to Canada, new migrants, international students, all these foreign workers, it is also creating a housing crisis. So when Sean Fraser was himself the immigration minister, he made all those changes. Then he went to the housing department, and then there he's saying that all these changes that have been made are the reasons why these problems are coming up. Whose fault is it? And when a person like me, and I'm a nobody, but all I like to do is I like to look at the numbers. I technically and really am a nobody. And if I, from nowhere, could see blatantly that the number of temporary residents is just not adding up, so why were all these people with all the data and all the resources and everything in their disposal were not able to see that, were not able to identify that, or they did not do anything? And now you have this ballooning huge impact where the number of temporary residents are swelling, the permanent resident quotas are not there, and now you are beginning to see the impact, right? Slowly and slowly. Last year, category based draws happened. So therefore now, with this whole immigration programs, they want to restrict. Okay, restrict is the wrong word, but they want to sort of restrict. They want to restrict the number of people by the way of bringing only those people who would have direct impact with their skill sets, so that they can go back and tell people that, hey, we are making these changes in a manner so that we are bringing only those people who will directly contribute. So in that, you have the healthcare, you have the STEM, you have the agriculture, you have the transport, you have the trade, and of course you have the francophones, because hey, French is the second national language of the country, and therefore francophones. But in spite of that, the PNP programs are also now struggling. The most latest one is Alberta. Now, Alberta, what they done, and let me just pull this up for you very quickly so you have this here on your screens. Where did this go? Right. So this is the Alberta allocation. This is for 2023. Now, what has Alberta done is Alberta has announced yesterday that they are going to suspend their Alberta Opportunity Stream. Now, Alberta Opportunity Stream is a very, very important stream for people who were aiming or aspiring to become permanent residents. And why is it important? I'll tell you. But let me first give you the allocation. So this is the non-express entry stream allocations. This is again for 2023. But for 2024, it's going to be pretty close. We don't have those numbers yet. So Alberta Opportunity Stream had a quota of 4,970 people for 2023. For 2024, this number would be probably in the range of 5,200, 5,300, nothing more than that. But as I scroll down, and hey, guys, we are still only in the month of February, okay, second month of the year. The Alberta Opportunity Stream has 5,093 applications in the queue. And as of right now, they are processing applications which were received before 8th of September. Okay, and the processing time is for roughly 6 months. And if they're sitting with 5,093 applications, and the whole quota for this year probably is going to be in the range of 5,200, 5,300 at most, obviously it means that they don't have any room to accept any more applications, right? So they have, at this point of time, put this stream on suspension. But what this does is everybody who was working hard and preparing for Alberta Opportunity Stream are now finding themselves tough out of luck. This is also a very, very stark reality of the fact that PNPs, and we are all suggesting and we are all talking about the fact that, choose this PNP, choose that PNP, work towards this PNP, get 1 year of experience and you will be able to apply under this PNP. There's also a stark reality that any provincial nominee program can change at any point of time. This is another example of that. Overnight, Alberta has made an announcement that even if you were preparing to submit, but you haven't paid the fee, well, you can't do it anymore, right? So you could be at the very end stage. All you're preparing to do was, okay, I'm going to submit it tomorrow morning after I've reviewed my application. That's when I'll click the submit button with the fee paid. Hey, you can't do it anymore. So this is something which is very, very, I don't know if I'm exaggerating by saying drastic, but it is drastic, isn't it, right? Imagine if you were that person, so this impacts everybody who had studied in Alberta, and after completing their studies, they had found gainful employment within the same field of their studies, because that is the condition and requirement. Or if you had an LMIA, so you could have come to Canada on a visit visa, you would have found an employer who gave you an LMIA, or you genuinely found an employer who gave you an LMIA and you were working in Alberta, and all this while you were gaining your work experience so that you can apply under the Alberta Opportunity Stream. Now you can't do that, or at least until the stream has been suspended. And whenever the stream will now be reopened, and again, it's my opinion, because that is what the press release has at least indicated, that whenever the stream will reopen, I have a feeling that there will be more criterias and conditions to it. Probably something like a point factor, because at this point of time, anybody who's eligible can just make an application. and that could be in a whole lot of people, as you can see, right? 5,093 people waiting in the queue. And whenever the stream will open, I have a feeling that they will change the format so that it becomes a point system, so that the top ranking people get invited, everybody else gets left behind. So that's Alberta, what they have done. All the other provinces, I mean, we already know what happens with Ontario. Now that leaves, I mean, again, talk about Saskatchewan. For example, Saskatchewan hasn't been conducting a lot of draws, and whenever they do conduct a draw, the scores are extremely high. With other provinces, nothing much is happening. Nova Scotia hasn't conducted a draw. New Brunswick made some changes earlier this year. With all these different provinces making these changes at the last minute, it even makes it more difficult. IRCC, let's talk about IRCC. What have they been doing? I mean, you know what IRCC is doing. I mean, it's not rocket science anymore, right? The last draw that was conducted, and I'm laughing only because, I mean, I have so much of expectations from IRCC. The last draw, which happened, was on the 14th of February, the Valentine's Day, and they invited 3,500 people under the healthcare category-based draws with a low ranking score of 422. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this pool breakdown. You see this number of 501 to 600, that has gone up to 9,004. The direct result of what IRCC has done is, by limiting the number of invitations that they've been sending out to, with all these general express entry draws. So they call it a general draw, but this is pretty much a PNP draw, whereby they are just trying to clear out the provincial nominees, people who have the 600 points. And just a few additional, so that they clear out some others as well. But what that has done is 501 to 600, that range has, it's ballooning. 9,000 people, it's not a small number, guys. And every single 2 weeks, or every time 2 weeks have lapsed, more people get added up. Now, a lot of you obviously wonder, how does somebody have a score of 500? Guys, score of 500 is incredible. It's brilliant as a score. It's not easy to get there. You basically will have to have a master's degree, probably in Canada, Canadian work experience plus foreign work experience, plus you are young, plus you have good IELTS scores. Or you could have foreign work experience, foreign degree, but also good French scores. Or you could have a master's degree, good IELTS scores, young, 3 years of foreign work experience, plus a job offer with an LMIA. All of these are not easy to obtain, or not easy to get to. And if you are then sitting at a score of 511 and wondering whether you have a chance, well, I feel you. I can understand that anxiety. I can understand that frustration. I can understand the anger sometimes as to what exactly is going on. And my bigger problem is with the government. I mean, look at Mark Miller. All he does is, on his Twitter account, he reposts the articles from the newspapers. I mean, shouldn't he be saying out something instead of just reposting those articles where he has been quoted? And if all he wants to do is just repost those articles with his quote, then why can't he just say it out the way he wants to? Or at least come out and give some information to some people. And I've said this before, that if housing crisis was the headache, was the issue, then why won't you conduct some CEC draws? Why won't you conduct Canadian experience class specific draws? Because these guys primarily are already in. IRCC, they did it during COVID, right? They did CEC specific draws during COVID, only because they wanted to achieve their PR targets, and it was quite easy for them because these people who were CECs were primarily inside Canada. I'm not saying all of CECs are inside Canada, but primarily most of the CECs are inside Canada, and they could very easily give them the invitations, even with the lower scores, have them transition into permanent residents, and therefore achieving their targets. If they could do it, then it only makes more logical sense that if you have housing crisis, well, these guys who are CECs are already inside Canada. They already have accommodations. They're already living here. They're not coming from outside. So they are not putting additional burden or pressure on the housing. Maybe do some CEC draws, create some relief there. Look at these numbers of 501 to 600. Maybe do some big draws. Maybe do a 9,000 kind of a draw and clear out all these 500s. It's ridiculous to have that high score and yet have to just wait. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say anymore, right? Another thing, with all these TRs that are increasing, and I just said that earlier, the temporary residents, the numbers that are increasing, and then Mark Miller comes out and makes all these radical changes, right? No more postgraduate work permits for most of the programs except for masters and PhDs. Sorry. Before, I mean, that was a typo from me. No more spouse open work permits for all the other programs except for masters and PhD, not post. Can you imagine what kind of a ruckus that's going to create? So of course, all the programs remain eligible for postgraduate work permits as long as you are eligible, except the PPPs, the private public partnership programs, whereby the private colleges were teaching the curriculum of public colleges and therefore granting them the credential of the public college. So those will no longer be able to get a postgraduate work permit effective if you are enrolling effective 1st of September. Everybody else still gets their postgraduate work permits, no problem there. The spouse open work permits, now that's a very big one, right? Can you imagine, just last year, they actually made it easier for the people who are in Canada to get spouse work permits, right? For example, earlier you had to be working in NOC 0AB job in order for you to be eligible to get a spouse open work permit. Then they came out and said, well, you do no longer need NOC 0AB, NOC anybody, tier 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As long as you're working and you have an open work permit, you're in a postgraduate work permit, you will be eligible to apply for a spouse open work permit. And when you were making these kind of changes, you were giving so many people hope. You were telling people that, hey, if I get married, I can take my spouse. And now suddenly this kind of a change, I understand what they're trying to do, okay? But at the same point of time, by them not conducting these draws, what message is it being sent out? Basically, people are losing faith as far as the whole system is concerned. The credibility of the system is at a question right now. After getting so many points, do I still have a chance with Canadian immigration? And if I did not have a chance with Canadian immigration, then why was I led to believe that if I was I mean, even recently, right, on a couple of days back, IRCC's Twitter account is promoting Express Entry. Well, why are you promoting Express Entry? Because even if I have a score of 500, hey, I don't know whether I'm going to get invited or not. So those kind of mixed messages sometimes just do not make sense. I'm not sure who is running the Twitter account of IRCC, but if you really could read the room, you wouldn't be making those kind of posts, at least not about Express Entry at this point of time. So another thing that I feel is that postgraduate work permit extensions were stopped 31st of December. So you could no longer get your postgraduate work permits extended. And after that, they haven't conducted the draws. So had they conducted the draws, so let's say, had they conducted the draws in January and in February, the way we were anticipating, a lot of these people whose work permits were expiring, they would have then been able to apply for bridge open work permit. So by not conducting these draws, is IRCC and Mark Miller, by that count, are they trying to slowly force the people to leave Canada? For people, for example, for people whose work permits are expiring, is that another strategy that is being adopted? That let's hold back the draws. All these people who are there, their work permits have expired. They will keep getting expired. They won't have an option to apply for bridge open work permit because, hey, their work permits have expired. Then they will either change it to a visitor record, continue waiting. Eventually, they cannot work anywhere. So they have removed these people out from the labor force. Is that what they are trying to do? Sometimes I fail to understand these things. But overall, this whole funda that a lot of these agents out there are putting out on YouTube and on Instagram. I mean, I know this is all about trying to promote your business. Hey, that contact us and we will make your dreams come true. No, don't contact them because they cannot make your dreams come true. Only you can make your dreams come true. Now, after having given you all this lecture and gyan about all this depressing aspect of Canadian immigration, most of you are wondering, is there still a chance? What is Kubeir going on and on and on and on, talking about the fact that Canadian immigration is so difficult, etc., etc.? Is that what I'm saying? Well, at the end of the day, I'm a consultant as well, right? So I'm not going to say that it's all dead. Of course not. At the end of the day, there is still that small, tiny sliver of that silver lining on those clouds. One, that the numbers or the expected number of invitations that IRCC is going to issue for this year, they suggest that at some point of time, IRCC should go back to the regular general draws. That's what the numbers suggest, not me. I mean, I'm just looking at all the gloom and doom, but the numbers, as I said, there's a silver lining, suggests that the express entry draws at some point of time should return back to some sense or some normalcy. I'm only worried when, because the longer they take, the number of people in this pool, right? This particular pool, the number of people in this pool, they keep swelling up, they keep growing. At this point of time, 9,000 people above 501, 7,285 above 491. Could you have imagined people at 490s and 500s struggling to get an invitation? At this point of time, there is roughly 17,000 people who are quite anxious and quite frustrated and quite worried as to what's going to happen. I feel them. And so the silver lining, as I was talking about, is the fact that the numbers suggest that at some point of time, they should resume the regular, normal express entry draws. The numbers suggest, right? And in addition to that, the category-based draws continue. So after all this talk, few things to look at. If you are a person who still has a work permit which is valid for a few months, let's say 6, 7, 8, 10 months, and you're thinking, should I move the provinces? Well, even if you go to a different province, which province are you going to go to? If you have only 5 months, 6 months left, and that is the chunk of the consultations that I'm doing right now, right? People's work permit is expiring 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and what should I do? Where do I go? Well, I don't have any options for you. It's already too late. Why? Nova Scotia, you got to be there for at least 1 year if you're looking to, have some meaningful. And then again, you need a job offer and get the employer to sign the NSNP 200. Prince Edward Islands, you need to work there if you're on a postgraduate work permit. Work there for at least 9 months, and of course, if you can find an employer, have them sign the form as well. New Brunswick, you need to work there for at least 6 months and have the employer. But New Brunswick is still the better provinces of the Atlantic because they give you that respite of just work there for 6 months. And then find an employer. Just the job offer will do. Manitoba, work for 1 year if you're not from the province. Work for 1 year, right? And then get the job offer, then get into the point system. British Columbia, find a job offer. Saskatchewan, work for 6 months, get a job offer. Or not even just the job offer, the job approval letter, which is so difficult to get. And with such high refusal and rejection rates, even after getting the job approval letter. Ontario, get the employer form. I mean, with every single province, it's the employer. And a lot of these employers, you know what they're doing, right? What they want. Sometimes it's not just the job, right? And there's a lot of stories of abuse. There is a lot of people, who can tell you some real horror stories out there with some of these employers. The salaries don't get paid. They get paid much less than what they're being said. And they are pretty much stuck with these employers for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, so if you have a work permit which is at least valid for 6, 7, 8, 10 months, get work experience in one of the priority NOCs. Why? Because IRCC has already announced and confirmed that their categories for this year at least are going to remain the same. At least that's what the announcement has come. We posted that earlier as well. So if the 6 categories remain, the STEM, the healthcare, the transport, the agriculture, skilled trade, and of course the French, the Francophones, well, it would be in your favor to get those 6 months of work experience in so that you could still be eligible in one of these categories, and of course at a very much lower score, right? Look at the scores that have come up with healthcare. Look at the scores, 422, right? Great score. STEM, 481 was the last draw. Whenever the next STEM draw happens, we are hoping that it should go down to 470s. And then the trade and transport, we already know the scores have gone down right down to 300s. In addition to that, you have the Francophone, the French category draws. They've also gone down quite a lot depending on when the draw has happened and how many invitations were issued. So all these categories do offer a chance to people, even with the lower scores, to get through. So obviously that is one door that you can open. And if you hadn't realized this all this while, well, then obviously you're not watching my videos, because I've been saying it for a very long time. Get work experience in these NOC codes. Now, if you're a person who has to return back to their home country, all is not lost. If Canada is still something which you're aspiring for, and you now have a work permit which has expired or is expiring next month, well, just buckle up. Don't think it's the end of the world. First of all, Canada is not the end of the world. It's not like that if you did not get the Canadian PR, everything has ended and there is all doom and gloom. Of course not. There are so many other things that you can do with your life. Forget about Canada. You can make life out elsewhere as well. That's number one. That's one way to look at it. Secondly, but if you're so gung-ho about Canada and that's where you want to come back to, well, go back, no problem. Go back to your home country, get 6 months of work experience in any of the priority NOC codes. If finding employment in Canada in any of these NOC codes is so difficult, I'm hoping and I'm sure that if you go back to your home country, at least finding employment with any of these in any of these priority occupations may not be as difficult, and you would still be eligible. Your Canadian experience will still count, and because your Canadian experience will still count, your points will remain the same. You will still get that 6 months of work experience. You will still be eligible in these priority occupations, and therefore you can still make your way back in. So that's another way of looking at it. Other than that, always, of course, keep your eyes open for the PMP programs. The changes always happen for the good and for the bad. For example, just the way Alberta has suspended their opportunity stream, they are also going to open a new stream effective 1st of March, which is on hospitality and tourism. Now, we do not know the details yet, but if you were to listen to these agents on Instagram, they have opened the doors for everybody who has worked anywhere in the world in hospitality and tourism. And they are almost promising free entries to all those people that, hey, if you are in hospitality and tourism, you have now a red carpet welcome to Canada because Alberta is going to give you a PR. No, that is not what Alberta said. Alberta said that you probably have already been living in Alberta, already have some work experience in Alberta, and have a job offer from an approved employer. That's it. That's the only information we have. We don't have any other details. So there is no red carpet being laid out at this point of time. Please just wait to get the details before you jump the gun. But at least it's a stream. It's a new stream, which basically means it will open doors for some of you out there. So everything is not lost. And at the same point of time, all these recruitment events that are being conducted by the New Brunswick, by Newfoundland and Labrador, if you get a chance, please obviously do attend them. Always do keep an eye on them. They keep making these announcements. Sometimes we come to know of it, sometimes we don't come to know of it. So absolutely keep an eye on them as well, and when they do happen, join them. So these are some of the things that you can still keep an eye on. And of course, job offer. Now, as much as there is so much of negativity that is there around the LMIAs and about the job offers and everything that goes around it, there are still genuine employers out there. There are some genuine people who are offering genuine employment, genuine jobs, genuine LMIAs. Keep looking. You might never know where you might find these guys. And that would be the way. And of course, French is another way to get through. I know it's difficult. I know it's not easy, but also keep in mind that French will continue. It's there for 2024. It's there for 2025. It's there for 2026. And again, as I said, if you are gung-ho about Canada, then maybe the way to Canada would be through the French stream or the Francophone stream. So if you really, you roll up your sleeves and put in the effort there and crack that CLB 7 for French, because I know of some people who have done it. They realized long back that would be the only way to do it, and they have actually done it. I'm saying again, it's not easy. Of course, it's not easy. I mean, I still hardly speak French, even after staying for so many years. A few words here and there, but then I did not need to, right? Unlike some of you out there, if you've made up your mind, then that's the way to do it. But apart from that, in the coming days, in the coming weeks, I think the processes are going to continue to be difficult. And if you do get invited by any province, for example, a lot of people get confused. They get invited by Ontario, OINP, and then think, oh, should I wait for express entry? Maybe the scores will come down. Don't make that mistake. Sometimes when you are waiting and the draws don't happen, you might lose out on this and you might lose out on that. And then your happy birthday might come. You might lose another 5 points and that golden ticket is lost forever. So don't make that mistake. I know $1,500 is what you will need to spend for Ontario if you have to submit that application. But if you have that invitation, don't let that go. And next thing is for those people who do get the invitation, who do get an express entry invitation, for example, in healthcare, for example, in STEM, for example, in agriculture, or for any stream for that matter, please treat that application with respect. I mean, I know, of course, a lot of you already do that, but a lot of you decline ITAs even now. Even now, I know of people who keep declining ITAs. People who have PNP nominations, they also decline ITAs because of some very, very small, silly things sometimes. Others, because they are misled, because they listen, your friends are not consultants, your friends are not lawyers. If you're only going to listen to your friends who may or may not have the right information or the right knowledge, then you might actually be making a big mistake. Do a proper research. The only friend you have is the IRCC website. The only friend that you have is the Immigration Refugee Protection Act and regulations. That is your best friend. Sometimes even the consultants make a mistake because they don't know better, because they may not have the experience for that particular stream or for that particular aspect or issue. So please, friends are the last. I mean, yeah, I know they have the best interest and they may have done an application, but what applied to them may not necessarily apply to you. And I have seen so many times things going wrong. So if you're one of those blokes, then please, just treat IRCC website as your Bible, as your guidebook, and only just follow that and the information on it, because at least you will be able to back it up when you get into trouble, if at all you do get into trouble. But apart from that, this is basically what I wanted to talk to you about. That don't take this lightly, don't take this easy. And I know a lot of you are really, really stressing out because your work permits are expiring. But then, if your work permit is expiring in 2 months and now you are wondering what should I be doing, well, then the question to you is, what were you doing all this while? I mean, you waited all this while until the last 2 months and now you are wondering what you should be doing. I mean, don't you think you're pretty late to the party now? And all these thoughts or all these planning should have happened earlier. And this also goes out to all the international students who are now enrolling, who are now coming to Canada, who are now studying. This is the time that you should know your journey up ahead. Should you do 1 year program? Should you do 1+1 stacking program so you can get 3-year work permit? After completing your program, what is your plan? What are you preparing to do? What are you planning to do? Are you already contacting employers? Are you already working somewhere? Are you already fostering good network and relationship with the employer so that they can help you or assist you? Don't get stuck with Ontario. Ontario has the least options unless you are in skilled trade. Even in skilled trade, again, that's another example. Ontario can change the NOC codes at any point of time. Then what are you going to do? So don't get stuck only with Ontario. Please do move out. And if you are looking to stay in Ontario, probably look at the northern part of Ontario. Look at the options where you might have an option with the RNIP and OINP at the same point of time. Try to get work experience even while you're working in Ontario in an occupation, which again is part of the priority occupation. Always have a plan B. But if you're an international student, you should by now already know what is your journey, what is your way forward. Please do not wait till the last minute. Canadian PR process is difficult and is going to continue to be difficult for some time to come. That's my message for you guys. And I can see lots and lots and lots of comments. And before I get to that, a very short note again, for people who are in Surat, for people who are in Ahmedabad, guys, we are having a free seminar and we're going to talk about all this that I've spoken to you today and much more in detail about a lot of other things as well. Tomorrow in Surat, free seminar. Saturday tomorrow, yes, and Sunday in Ahmedabad, free seminar there as well. The description, the link for the registrations in the description. I think we still have few more seats left, not too many, though the Surat auditorium is pretty big. I mean, from what I saw seen the pictures, it looks like pretty huge. I'm not sure how many people are coming tomorrow, but if you're in Surat, I'm very, very excited to see you tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of fun, some games there as well, and at the same point of time, talk to you about what are the realistic ways to make this happen if you are still interested. And of course, a lot of you out there who are still thinking of spending money. Well, if you're spending money, and I'm not going to say do it or don't do it. I mean, who am I to tell you, right? You're going to do it anyways if you have to do it. But if you are worried about the consequences of everything negative that comes with when you're trying to do things which you shouldn't be doing, well, think about the business immigration aspect. Think about startup visas. Think about C10 work permits, C11, C12s. Think about the ways that you can, instead of buying a job offer, probably invest it in a manner so that you can still get your LMIA, make sure it is genuine, you're working for your own business, for your own company. And that is also a very, very, very realistic option. BC has a rural stream for entrepreneurs. Alberta has a stream for entrepreneurs. Ontario's is suspended, but startup visa application is still there. All the Atlantic provinces still has the entrepreneur stream. Saskatchewan has it as well. That still stays there. And of course, it's not that you can invest money in a company and you automatically get a PR in Canada, but there are ways and means to do it. For example, you can start a company, show that this will have Canadian benefit, and you can apply for a work permit under C10. And by doing that, you will have created Canadian benefit. You would have gotten yourself a work permit, work for your own company for 1 year. Obviously, invest your time, effort behind it, make that business grow, be an entrepreneur, and after 1 year, you can claim points on it. And if you have done the right thing and you've done the application correctly, you can probably claim 200 points for it by being the director or CEO of your own company. So there are ways to do it, the right way to do it. And of course, then there is a brilliant program of startup visa as well. Find an incubator, have a good tech idea, pitch it to the right incubator, get the right support for it, and then again, you can even have your friends along with you in the same business or your startup idea, and invest in that. And that is so much more better than a lot of other things that you guys are looking to do. Well, all of this, again, we're going to talk about more about it tomorrow in Surat and then in Ahmedabad. But if you are also listening, then I've given you some ideas. Obviously, there is a lot more information out there. Anything of this is of interest to you, of course, research is the way to go. Now, a lot of you are putting out super chats. Please don't do it, because there is only so much time that I have right now, and I will not be able to do any more super chat. So please do not put that money on super chat. Most of it goes to YouTube anyways. Please do not do any more super chats. Okay, I'm going to very quickly try to do as many as I can, and of course, I will be doing another live stream. I won't be doing it tomorrow because I would be on a train on my way to Ahmedabad from Surat. But I will try and do it on Sunday, which is day after tomorrow. Probably I'll do it on Sunday morning, Eastern Standard Time, Sunday evening, Indian Standard Time, and then hopefully we will answer more of your questions. But very quickly, going through the super chats that we have here. No question here. No question here, Yash. Okay, Virtual Spirit says, after submitting Ontario application, can I move to Dubai? Should I attach a single file for each section? Ontario HCP application. So in Ontario application, you don't have to merge all the documents in one file. You can actually upload separate documents, and that's absolutely fine. And you can even annotate and mark what kind of a document you're uploading. And yes, of course, with Ontario, you not only Ontario, even with IRCC, you can go anywhere you wish to go. Traveling to any place in the world is not a problem. And even with OIMP, you can absolutely travel wherever you wish to travel. I mean, after submitting the application or even during the application. Justin says, I don't know what it means. Why is the processing time longer for EEPNP than other EE categories? Actually, that's not correct. Both the categories, EEPNP and other EEs, are all similar, or on a similar timeline. So there is no data that establishes whether the express entry PNP is longer than the express entry CEC or express entry federal skilled worker. Of course, a lot of people also believe that just because you have a nomination, then your application should be processed faster. Because Ontario has given you the nomination, they've already done a check, so IRCC should not do it. It doesn't work like that. Just because Ontario has done a check on you does not mean IRCC will not do their own checks in terms of establishing your eligibility, establishing your CRS points, and also doing your background checks and your medical inadmissibility and your criminality and your security, etc. So those checks are still to be done. And in some cases, they also need to establish whether your intention to reside in the province that has nominated you is valid or not. In some cases, people are living in different provinces, have not moved to the same city where they have said that they will be moving, or same province that they've said they will be moving. With all those things, sometimes the application takes a bit longer. Sorry, no question there. Dimple says, have 440 series, 440 CRS. What will be the possibility in sales rep profile in Ontario and Saskatchewan? Well, first of all, when you ask me a specific CRS and specific question into what's happening with the sales profile, I can't answer that on a live stream because there are a lot of other things to look at. The best way to look at it would be to go onto these individual provinces, check their programs, check their criteria, go for the past trends, and see if your knock code has been invited. In Ontario, no, sales rep haven't been invited. In Saskatchewan, yes, they may have been invited, but I don't remember the scores. And Saskatchewan does not have CRS score calculations. They have a separate grid point that they work on. PR holder getting married in August. Is it mandatory to have a job to sponsor my spouse? Can my spouse apply for open work permit while the spousal application is in process? If you are a PR holder, you do not need to have a job when you are sponsoring your spouse. There is no income requirement. However, the requirement is that you are still able to establish and prove that you will be able to support your spouse. Therefore, either you have the funds or you have to show that you are employable. That goes onto you as to how you do that. As far as open work permit is concerned, if your spouse is in Canada, after you get the file number for your spousal sponsorship application, yes, you can apply for the open work permit. Chetan says Ontario Tech Draw profile says non-tech. When you guys write in such manner, it's very difficult for me to understand very quickly because I'm trying to go through the questions very, very quickly. Okay. Ontario Tech Draw EE profile says non-tech experience, but I received a letter by employer as so-and-so. Should I mention the correct NOC or EE file NOC with a explanation letter? I honestly do not understand your question. But if you have received the Ontario's, you have received invitation from Ontario, please enter all the information correctly and make sure that your primary NOC code under which you have been invited by Ontario, you have at least 1 year of work experience and documents to prove that within the last 5 years if you're a federal skilled worker and within the last 3 years if you're Canadian experience class. And of course, choose the correct NOC code, because if you'll choose the incorrect NOC code, then of course, then you have a problem with the application. I'm a student in physics. My score is 481. My job requires data analysis. Can I use the NOC code for data analysis? So you do not choose your NOC code because your job requires data analysis. Please review the NOC code. See if you actually perform the duties that have been mentioned in the NOC code, and that would be validated by the job employment letter that you get from your employer. And if you have the employment letter that mentions that and matches with the NOC code, then you can choose that NOC code, and of course, then you can use that NOC code. I have 469 software developers. My work permit is expiring and I'm afraid to give IELTS as last two ONP in the range of 471 to 480 and 473 to 480. So I'm not sure what your question is, but the idea should be to retake IELTS anyway, so you have a higher score, so you can meet with the STEM category draw as and when they happen. Just because you're hoping that the scores will drop down to 469, they may or they may not, right? And as to when they happen. So always have your scores better, and that way you will be in a position to use the lower IELTS scores or the higher IELTS scores, and keep an eye on the next express entry STEM category draw, because that would give you an idea as to how low the scores will go for the Ontario. Yash Patel, nothing in the question there. Akash says, we just did this already. Yash Patel, finally we got a question from you. 493, 504 in June. Again, WO experience June. I don't know what you mean. COM 3 years experience in June, but work permit experience expires in 7th of June. Can I claim points for third year as there is a difference of 15 days? Any possibility of score going down in 490s? Again, there are a lot of things in your question I don't understand because of the way you've written your question. As far as the possibility of the score going down is concerned, in my opinion, the scores should go down. I just do not know when, and it all depends on IRCC. We've already seen the pool breakdown. The number of people in the pool are quite high, above 501, quite a big number there. Even 490 is quite a big number there. Collectively, above 491, you have almost 17,000 people at this point of time and growing each day, each week. So until and unless IRCC chooses to conduct some large draws, it is going to be a very, very slow reduction in the numbers or slow decline to the CRS scores, and we have to wait and see. As far as you claiming points is concerned, well, even in express entry, the system gives you the points sooner than you have completed your work experience, but you can only complete, or rather you can only submit your application after you have completed that period of work for which you're claiming points. You POV on upcoming Alberta to your considerable option for tourism graduates to in Ontario to move, as requirement is 6 months. Well, again, my point of view, if you're asking, I don't know. Again, there's no point of having a point of view on something like this because there is no detail, there is no information. We can talk about speculations, we can talk about data, but if there is no data, there is no information, only very little snippets of it, very difficult to say exactly what's happening. In my opinion, Alberta is going to be for people who are in Alberta, not necessarily for people from outside the province. Plus, the biggest requirement is going to be the job offer. So even if you are looking to move to Alberta with this particular stream, the best thing would be to find an employer who can give you the job offer. And apparently they have said that approved employer. So they may be issuing a list of employers who are considered as approved, and those would be the ones you can look at. Okay, applied student visa with family on 28 December, can create profile from same account, 3 years experience, blah, 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 blah. Again, very difficult to understand the guys, the way you're writing your questions. Count 3 years for points, can experience in, okay, anyways, I'm not sure what you're asking me, but yes, you can create, you can, you have created, I mean, you've applied for student visa, you can absolutely use the same profile to create your express entry profile. There is no problem with it. If you have 3 years of experience, can you apply for agriculture? If your NOC code within the last 3 years is eligible within the agriculture field, then of course you can have that work experience listed. It doesn't have to be the primary NOC code, and you would still get invited. Edition CRS 584 in May 2024 and 506 in May 2025. Well, as I said, scores are pretty good, and I'm assuming and I'm hoping that if with a score of 584, you should be through at any point of a time. My postgraduate work permit expires in May 25. My common law partner is getting LMIA around August. My question is, if she gets closed work permit, can I apply for spouse open work permit based on a closed work permit before my postgraduate work permit expires? Yes, you can. That is not a problem. When your spouse or your common law partner, when your partner applies for a closed work permit, you can apply for an extension of your work permit, or you can apply for your work permit at the same point of time when your partner applies for the closed work permit. Keshav says the express entry healthcare draw, the 6-month experience is counted in the past 3 years from the day you get invited, or the 3 years from the day you submit your PR file. It's always 3 years from the date you are submitting your PR application. You go back 3 years. Within that 3 years, you should have 6 months. Not from the day you get invited. Always the day you get submit. Always the time you're submitting your application. That is the day that counts. No question there. Do we need medicals for bridge open work permit as per the temporary policy for in Canada applicants? No, we do not need medicals for bridge open work permit. And even if you're applying for any other temporary resident application inside Canada and you already have a previously completed medicals, you can use the same medicals as long as they were within the last 5 years. Postgraduate work permit expiring in August. Can I apply for extension, leave Canada and return before August 24? If decision is not made until my work permit expires, will I maintain implied status? Well, first of all, if your work permit is expiring in 2024, no, you cannot apply for extension because there is no provision for extension. If you do apply for a fake extension, you of course get an implied status because of that. And if you leave Canada and return back before the expiry of your original work permit, then yes, your maintained status remains maintained because you haven't really gone out of status at all in the first place. And your maintained status will only start after the day your work permit expires. And if you're already inside Canada, then your status remains. I mean, you will be on implied status. Sorry, COPR details were updated, but my account still shows application being processed. Does this mean my application has been approved? Well, yes, in most cases, if your COPR details have been updated, then it means your application has been approved. Your COPR information will come to you soon. Congratulations in advance. Do you anticipate another draw for Ontario's international job offer stream? I have completed my bachelor's and 7 months of experience in Tier 1 category. Any suggestions? Yes, I certainly expect another international job offer stream draw. Just don't know when. They don't conduct these frequently and they don't happen very often. In a year, you will see probably 2 to 3 draws, maybe 4 if they're feeling really generous. But because they have so many other draws to conduct as well. But yes, definitely 2 to 3 draws in a year are expected. If I refuse Ontario NOI once, am I considered for another NOI in the following rounds if I meet the criteria? Well, technically, you should be included for the next NOI draw as and when happens. But just to be on the safe side, if I was you, I would create another Express Entry profile. I have Ontario's EE Skilled Trade invitation. I submitted my documents on 14th of August. I have been on DIP since November 10. What should I do? The latest processing max time is 150 days. I got invite on 3 August draw. Well, to be very honest, there is nothing much that you can indeed do at this point of time. In my experience, the processing times are quite long. Some of these streams are seeing processing times almost close to 6 months. So you can always write to Ontario and follow up on your application, but apart from that, unfortunately, there is nothing much you can do at this point of time. Title is Corporate Project Engineering, 1 year experience, postgraduate work permit, duties match trade NOC. Can I apply in trade NOC even if the title has corporate? Yes, even if your title has corporate, you can apply under the trade NOC code as long as your job roles and responsibilities match with this corresponding NOC code. I got Ontario OINP under International Job Offer Stream, but my work permit is expiring on 13th of March. Should I apply? Because I think it will become invalid after 13th of March. Well, you can apply. What you can do is you can apply for a visitor record before it is expiring, your work permit, and then you will be on the maintained status. And as long as you're on the maintained status, your application can continue. And after your application for nomination gets approved, you should also get a work permit supporting letter. Using that, you will then be able to apply for a work permit and then start working after you get the work permit. Nothing there either. My NOC code is not listed in STEM category. My work permit expires in August. I'm at 496. Will IRCC modify the NOC codes? Well, I don't know if IRCC will modify the NOC codes or not. They have already made a notification. They've already made the announcement recently saying that the categories remain the same. Will they be changing the NOC codes or not? We don't know at this point of time. To expect that they will change and wait for that, I wouldn't want to do that. As of right now, there is no specific indication or any kind of news or update from anywhere to suggest that they will be making any changes to the NOC code. When can we expect the next draw? I don't know. There is no way to speculate or make any prediction on when the draws will happen with Ontario. IELTS test date got expired, but the result is expiring in March. Ontario NOI, 8th Feb. Can I apply on current IELTS score only before test result expiry? Yes, the IELTS results, I mean, the expiry date of the IELTS results is when your IELTS actually gets expired. So yes, you can submit. But if I was you, I would retake my IELTS at the earliest and then also let Ontario know and send them the copy of your new IELTS once you have obtained them, and also update your Express Entry profile once you have them. Nothing there. Okay, Utsav says my score is 479 with CLB 10. In April, it will be 489. I am eligible for Ontario's Tech and STEM. Work permit expires in August. What should I do for PR? Well, I guess in your case, you can only wait for the draws to happen. And as and when the STEM category draw happens, you would be eligible. Just give me one moment. Right. I mean, apart from that, if you have any other way of improving your scores, then you should do that. Maybe by additional work experience, maybe by finding an employer who can give you a job offer, or by adding French to your scores. But if you cannot improve your scores, then I guess all you can do is just wait for the next draw to happen, whenever that might be. Can I remove my ECA from Ontario to reduce my points as they are 448? If you remove the ECA from Ontario, then you might not be eligible at all for Ontario's draw, because if you're looking at human capital priority stream, then you need to have at least a bachelor's degree. So if you remove your ECA, you might not remain eligible for the draw at all. So just bear that in mind. Okay, last last two questions. I'm in Canada. I have a PCC for all my stay in India, but I've traveled to India for 1.5 months, which is 6 months, which is less than 6 months. Submitted APR without second PCC, but showed proof that I've applied for PCC. Chances of rejection. Well, if you've already provided them proof that you've applied for a new PCC, then I don't think that you will have a rejection. When you do get your new PCC, please use the web form and send it to them. I don't think that should be an issue at all. My Ontario file is in assessment. I got express entry ITA in healthcare. Should I withdraw my Ontario file or not? If you already have an ITA in express entry directly from express entry, you can choose to withdraw your Ontario file. I wouldn't, because it's already in assessment, means I would not get a refund back. What that would do is Ontario may cancel your application at the time when they're completing the application for you. And if they are canceling the application, there is a possibility, very tiny possibility, that they might give you the refund back. But if you were to withdraw, you definitely won't get a refund back. So just let it continue. It's not creating any issues for you. Okay, that's the end of these questions. All right. No, we've already done that. Guys, okay. Oh, last two questions. Okay, guys, please do not do any more super chats. I cannot take any more questions, please. I'm here after 12th. I will be on postgraduate work permit in April. I have a job offer from Quebec. Is it worth moving to Quebec considering PR? Well, yes, if you have a job offer and it is a direct pathway to PR, then you can most certainly consider Quebec as well. Whatever leads you to permanent resident option, take it. Sarthak says, is it mandatory to maintain same or high score if I am retaking IELTS for Ontario? I read somewhere that score doesn't matter after that. Yes, that's true. Scores does not matter after you have already submitted your application, and at the time of application submission, all your documentation was valid. Then it will not make any difference at all. Oh, guys. Please, guys, I will not answer any more questions after this. Please do not do super chats. I just feel obligated and I don't want to do that. Can I remove my ECA for skilled trade Ontario to reduce points? Well, yes, if you wish to do that, you can do it. That's not a problem. Please make sure you remain eligible under the stream. I received spouse open work permit on 12th and my wife received PR approval for her and myself 2 days later. Do I need to submit PCC from India or after moving to Canada on work permit? Huh? You already have a PR approval. Why do you need to submit PCC from India anymore? I don't think I understand your question. If you already have a PR approval, what PCC do you need to submit? There is no PCC required if you have a PR approval. Okay, end of the questions. Thank you. If you are in Surat, I will see you tomorrow. If you are in Ahmedabad, I will see you day after tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining in. And I will see you Sunday evening with more questions, more information. And of course, we will talk about what the updates have been in this particular week. Join me then, and I shall see you and talk to you more about what's happening with Canadian immigration. Good night and take care.